Coming up on Sports Talk, we'll talk about the Lakers and their free agency moves. Will it be enough to compete for a championship? We will also talk about the Clippers as well. All this and more coming up on Sports Talk with Ed. This is Sports Talk with Ed. I am, of course, Edward for full. I want to thank you for joining us here. Thank you for watching us here, listening to us here on YouTube. Also, we want to welcome our audience who are watching on the podbean.com podcast. If you want to know more, you can go ahead and go to iPod or podbean.com, look for Sports Talk with Ed, and you can view our downloaded episodes. We do want to welcome you to our 4th of July episode show for this week. I do want to say happy 4th of July to everyone out celebrating, those who are off work or have to work. We hope you have a great 4th of July and want to say welcome. This has been an exciting time for us here, moving to podcasts and still broadcasting on YouTube. I want to thank you both for watching on both of these channels. Appreciate it so much. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube under Edward Rientasso at 2589. Again, you can also subscribe to our social media page. We have launched our Instagram page recently, Sports Talk with Ed. That is on Instagram. Again, Sports Talk with Ed on Instagram. Feel free to follow, send me messages, comment, like, and ask questions and on anything, and we'll be able to announce your questions here on the show. This is a big episode for me here because finally, after a while, we've finally had people on the show. We have some guests coming in today. I do have an interview with my friend Jose, who works at a casino here in California. We're going to get to that at first, but let's go ahead and go down with the top stories here on Sports Talk. A hot day in Southern California, but a lot of hot rumors and a lot of hot news going on here in the NBA as we kick out the top stories. First, we'll start off with the Los Angeles Lakers. And they have been making a lot of moves in this free agency period. And so far, it looks like they've done a really good job trying to beef up this squad, who were just 4 games short of the NBA Finals last season. ESPN's Dave McMenamin reported that the Lakers have agreed to an extension with free agent Austin Reeves. Per ESPN, the deal now is a $12.4 million raise, including netting out to $54 million over a 4-year deal, according to sources. He had a breakout campaign in his second season in the league, and he stepped up big, especially this season for the Los Angeles Lakers. He has averaged or shoot 52.9 from the field, 39% from three-point land, 86.4, almost 87% from the free throw line, and he goes along with 13 points, 3 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. And he was basically one of the best players in that final stretch of the run for the Lakers. In the final 11 regular season games before the playoffs, before the play-in tournament, he averaged almost 20 points a game, almost 7 assists, 58% shooting, and the Lakers went 9-2. That helped them clear up space, helped them get into the playoffs with their playoff win over the Memphis Grizzlies. As you know, they went through the play-in tournament, so they had some extra plays to do, but at the same time, it was too much for them, and they pretty much fell flat in the Western Conference Finals. A lot of people are wondering, can the Lakers continue to make improvements as, possibly the LeBron James era is coming to an end, and, the Lakers are trying to find out if they can find any players that can replace LeBron James to be the next breakout player in Los Angeles. Anthony Davis, he's the number 2 guy on this team. His first is LeBron and then AD. AD averaged 56% from the field last season. And in another development, the Lakers agreed to a 2-year deal with D'Angelo Russell. Remember, the D'Angelo Russell that was drafted back 6 years ago, kicked him out of town, went to New Jersey, then he came back. And to me, honestly, this was the point of the season that turned around for the Lakers. The Lakers got off to a bad start. Everybody wrote them out, but they made this trade. They made this trade when Russell came in and he kicked out Westbrook. It wasn't working well, and next thing you know, boom, they went on a huge run. They finished 43-39. Yes, I know they finished last in their division, but it looks like that division had a winning record, 43-39. And the deal is a 2-year, $37 million contract with the Lakers. And the deal includes a player option for the second year, meaning he can leave if he wants as early as the end of next season. And again, he was the original number 2 pick in 2015. He was in that blockbuster trade deal back in February of this year. The 3-team deal between the Lakers, the Timberwolves, and the Jazz, with kicking away Russell Westbrook. Don't mind the fireworks, it's 4th of July week, so don't worry about that. Russell averaged 27 points, actually averaged 17 points, 48% from the field in those 17 games after the trade. The Lakers went 12-5 in those games with 7.3 differential, and that's when they acquired D'Angelo Russell. They went 12-5. Basically, after this trade, they went ahead and won 12 of their 17 games, which is pretty amazing. He did have a couple games where he wasn't playing very well, but in the end, this trade was the key factor in that Laker playoff run. I mean, I'm looking at this, and I believe they're making right choices here. There's no egos, there's no pride, there's nothing. I know LeBron may have a say in who he wants to play with, but bringing back Austin and bringing back Russell is pretty smart. Those two players helped kick off this playoff run, and they could have won it. I think if the Lakers would have went to the finals, I think they would have beaten the Heat. That's my thoughts, but it is what it is. But another contrary note, here's another blockbuster deal for the Lakers. The Lakers has signed Jackson Hayes from the New Orleans Hornets. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Lakers and Hayes have agreed on a 2-year deal, and again, he'll have that second-year option, meaning he can leave as early as next season. Originally drafted in 2019, he was the number 8 overall pick. He's played in the NBA for 4 years, but he hasn't been unable to play in like the main event. He played the fewest minutes of his young career for the Pelicans this past season, 13 per game, and he only played in 47 of the 82 games last season. And this guy's pretty big, he's 6'11". He shot more than 75% from the field within 3 feet for his career, and shown the ability to knock down shots from the Florida range, meaning he can shoot everywhere around. But he can shoot threes as well. It remains a work in progress. His threes aren't that good, but he is making progress, and I think, with this, he'll get better. So that's what's happening with the Lakers. I just very, very am grateful that they're making the right choices here. They're trying to beef up the squad. And then here's more news. So they also reached an agreement. Again, this is from ESPN's Dave McMenamin. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. Rui Hachimura has agreed on a 3-year, $51 million deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. And guess what? There's more to this. They've agreed on another contract, a 3-year deal worth $33 million with Gabe Vincent. Now, let me ask you, do you think the Lakers are winning the free agency? Does it show that they're serious to win a championship? They know LeBron James' career is coming to an end. He cannot play at the state of his body. He's missed a lot of games. Anthony Davis is getting up there. He can't really do it on his own. He's pretty much progressed numbers. He's done well in points, in rebounds, and even in blocks. Hell, he's played pretty much good. He's like the Shaquille O'Neal from back in the day and the Dwight Howard, but at some point, LeBron, this is his final turnaround. I don't know if he'll come back for a few more or stay with the Lakers, or he might just say, I might go back to Cleveland or go back to Miami for one more run. They're trying to beef up this squad to ensure to compete for a championship, because you got to see the other teams in this league. Sacramento did well last year. Phoenix is up there. They made some moves. Chris Paul's gone. Golden State, with Chris Paul addition, I think they'll be a legitimate threat. All these teams in the Western Conference will be a threat to the Nuggets. Now, it's been about a long time since we saw a repeat winner. The last repeat winners was Golden State. So it's been a couple years since we've seen back-to-back championships. With the way free agency is now, it's hard to have that squad for a couple years. You go back to the Chicago Bull days of Jordan and Pippen and Rodman, Ron Harper, then to the Showtime Part 2 of the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe and D. Fish and Robert Horry, and, Horace Grant, Samaki Walker, the Big Four of Karl Malone, Gary Payne. The NBA tries to do this where there is no blockbuster teams. We go back a couple years ago with the whole CP3 deal that was voided. CP3 was supposed to go play with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, but David Stern at the time was a commissioner and said, no, we're not letting that happen. So I think the Lakers were screwed out of a championship that year because Chris Paul went to the Clippers, and we saw how that organization turned around with Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, etc. Had Chris Paul went to the Lakers, I think Kobe would have won maybe 2 titles, maybe in between, before winning the other 2 with Paul Gasol and Lamar Odom. I think they were robbed of it. I'm going to say it now, I'll say it again. If that deal wasn't voided, this would have been a championship team a couple times. We could be saying that more rings were robbed. But as time goes on, you look at these teams are getting all-star lineups. You guys remember the Miami Heat from a couple years ago with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh? And guess what? Those guys only won 2 titles. You look at other dominant teams like the Lakers, again, 3 straight, then 2 more. The San Antonio Spurs, they had a killer lineup. They had Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, even Robert Horry fit in there. They had a killer squad, and the coach that's still there in Greg Popovich. And you look at Golden State, where they had Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, Livingston. And then you look at Cleveland, they had LeBron James and J.R. Smith, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love. It's very amazing to see how this free agent business has changed basketball pretty much. We all talked about and complained. I know there were a lot of people complaining when the Heat did that big 3. Even the East Coast haters were complaining on the Lakers because of their all-star lineups. But remember the Boston Celtics? They had some killer teams in the 90s and the 80s back in the day against Showtime Part 1. And then they go and get Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to help Paul Pierce. They ended up winning a championship. They went to the finals, but they lost. So big star lineups nowadays lead to championships. Again, I'm going to give you the teams. The Bulls, the Lakers, throw in the Rockets, 95 Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat. Only one team I know that never won a championship with an all-star lineup was the Oklahoma City Thunder. Remember the days of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden playing together? That team was good enough to win a championship, and they've only made the finals one time, and that was against the Miami Heat of that big 3, and that was the second championship win for the Heat. I'm sorry, that was the first one. The second one was against the San Antonio Spurs. But that squad went to 3 finals, and they lost one time, and that was to the Dallas Mavericks. So all-star teams can be winnable, and then again they cannot. So what do you think so far of this free agency period with the Lakers? You think they have enough team, they have a caliber of a team to compete with the Denver Nuggets, to compete with the Sacramento Kings? I think so. Let me give you something that is realistic right now. The Lakers have a kryptonite. In the NFL, the 49ers were the Rams' kryptonite. The New England Patriots is the kryptonite of the New York Jets. The Los Angeles Dodgers is the kryptonite of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So is the Houston Astros. Pretty much everyone out of Texas is. But let's talk about the other team, the Clippers. Hasn't been really much of a improving free agency period so far. They haven't really done much so far. So let's talk about the Clippers here. So ESPN reported that the Clippers agreed on a 2-year deal worth close to $8 million with Russell Westbrook. This includes an option for the second year. Again, they can leave after the second year if they want. They because of the money issues, they weren't able to provide enough money for him to come back. But he still decided to come back. He claims he's found a home in Los Angeles after that shaky relationship with the Lakers. Here's one thing he said. He says, quote, "One thing I do tell you is that I love it here in Los Angeles." He said, quote, "I love the people, just the fans overall, embracing not just me but my family and close friends. I know end of the year a lot of things happen, but I'm grateful. I definitely love being here," end quote. This was after the Clippers lost to the Suns in the playoffs in April. And the Clippers have been looking to upgrade their roster with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I said this on the show that they should trade away those two because of the injury prone and just not the lack of leadership, the lack of productivity, and the fact that these two guys were not on the floor during the playoff match, especially in the deciding game against the Suns, where they did make a comeback, but in the end, they fell short. So far, one of the big deals the Clippers made was bringing back Westbrook. I mean, can he still play? I certainly believe so. I did see him when they play the Lakers, and he still has a lot of hate, not a lot of hate, but a lot of negative feelings towards them. And here's another thing. Damian Lillard is progressing a trade. There's no talks about the Clippers being involved in the decision, so we'll keep an eye out for that. He's one of the big players that is looking for a new home. Also, James Harden, who was a Sixer, he's opted out. He wants a trade. Keep an eye out for that. The Clippers might make a move. If that's the case, then, if, let's say this, if Lillard comes or if James Harden comes to Los Angeles, you got James Harden, who's played with Russell Westbrook in OKC. Those two can be a killer combination in the backcourt. Even though James Harden has been on teams where they could have won championships, and this season was just a big letdown, it led to the firing of Doc Rivers. I think those two playing together with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, I think this will be an all-star lineup that can actually make noise in the NBA. They haven't really made so much noise in the last couple years. Remember when CP3 was here, they had a lot of noise. Paul Pierce was here. But I think ever since Doc Rivers left, there just hasn't been that much noise in Clipperland. The Clippers were the upstart of the league because they were kicking the Lakers' ass. They still kick the Lakers' ass. They were progressing farther in the playoffs than the Lakers. And the Lakers have been on the off-season go play golf list a couple times prior to this. They were pretty much a last-place NBA team after Kobe retired, and this was before the LeBron James signing. I think the Clippers can make more moves, but time will tell. And we're back here on Sports Talk with Ed here on YouTube and on our podcast. Again, follow us on Instagram, Sports Talk with Ed. Submit your questions. We will put them on the show once we read them. Also, I do want to advise, we do tend to keep it language free, so please, if you use language, make sure you don't use anything offensive out of respect to our viewers. And I'm very happy to announce our first guest. Has been a man I've known for the last 5 years. We worked together in auto finance. He still works there to this day. He is a drummer. He is on the worship team for the church Praise Chapel, Baldwin Park, Reach Network. Oh, I'm sorry, who said that? I want to welcome my good friend Ernie Garcia. Ernie, how are you, man? Welcome.
Good. How are you doing, Ed? It's good to be here, man. Hear your voice.
Good, man. I know it's been a long time. We haven't seen each other in a couple of years, man. So how's the auto finance business, man?
Well, like everything else, it seems to be hanging in there, especially with the cars that we finance, the used automobiles. But business is still there, and people are still buying cars. So everything seems to be doing okay, Ed.
And just to let you know, Ernie does work for finance. And what's the company you're with, Ernie? Veros Credit?
The company I work for is Veros Credit in Santa Ana.
Okay, if you're looking to purchase a used vehicle, because we do know times are tough right now, especially for those that voted for our president, which I'm not trying to be, one-sided, but if you're interested in purchasing a used vehicle, you need to be financed, go ahead and advise that Veros Credit is the one place. They got better deals, I'll tell you that for sure.
Well, we do alternative financing, we do creative financing, and especially financing. So that's our type of customer, and there seems to be quite a few people out there that have had problems in their credit, and we're certainly there to help them reestablish.
And that's a good thing too. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've been there too. I've listened, but you've handled it well. Though I'll say that for sure. You know, it's kind of like us Ram fans are still getting heated because we scored 3 points in the Super Bowl, and then you talk about the collapse. I mean, since we're on the Rams topic, let's talk about that. And you've been a Ram fan a long time so far, right?
I've been a Ram fan since, gosh, I can remember back in 1964, I believe, is when I first saw my first Rams game at the Coliseum.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I never went to the Coliseum until their last game, which was in 2019. But I do remember the old school Los Angeles Rams back here. I remember Jim Everett. The only reason, for those of you that don't know this, I said Chris is because if you guys know Jim Rome, who is a sports talk host on CBS, he worked at ESPN prior to moving. He had an interview with Jim Everett, and
Yep.
I don't know what the history was between those two, but there was an incident where he came out and started calling Jim Everett Chris Everett, and I guess he just got tired of it, and he dared him to call him that again, and he did it to his face, which I was very shocked. And Everett just shoved him down, and I mean, and then the next day he talked about it. He just said that he regretted how things ended, but I'll say this: he had the goals to do it to his face, though.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a smart move.
Like I said, he had the goals to do it, man. Like it's kind of like being a Bronco fan going to a Raider game. I mean, you're gonna be on the Barbie and they're gonna be serving up lamb, especially before the game. But let's talk about the Rams though real quick. So we know what happened last year. 5-12, worst record by a world champion since the Broncos of '99. Yes, the 99 year that Vinny Testaverde got hurt. So Ernie, we have training camp coming up in a few weeks. What do you like so far about this team that Sean McVay has? He's going into his 6th year. This is Matthew Stafford's 3rd year around here. Cooper Kupp is coming back. Aaron Donald's coming back. Lost a lot of players in the offseason because of the financial situations from the Super Bowl year. Of course, Odell Beckham's gone. Allen Robinson, to me, was a bust. Cam Akers, he was in and out because we didn't know he was going to play or not. And then, we had Darnell Henderson, but he went to Jacksonville. And then now you look at the running back situation. They just re-signed Sony Michel. I mean, in your eyes, do you see a concern for Cam Akers? Should he be looking over his shoulder?
I don't think he should be looking over his shoulder. I'm sure he's well aware why they brought in Sony Michel. He's right now in his young career has been hurt a lot, and some of these injuries have taken almost out of the whole season. It was a tremendous thing that he went through, and when he got better from that ACL and came back and played in the playoffs, I mean that's really never been done. Most people or players are out for the whole season so they can heal and repair. So I think that Cam Akers, in that respect, he's a warrior and he's a player, and I don't know. Some people say he may have came back too soon, but right now he's number one on the chart. But then you got to look at Sony Michel when he was with us before. He pretty much carried the backfield.
He did.
He did an awesome job. I was really impressed and kind of sad to see him leave. But,
I was sad too. I mean, he was the he came in after Cam Akers was hurt in training camp. He came in. He's been there before because he was with Bill Belichick. So I mean, his experience really helped a lot. I mean, right. I'm looking at his stats. So the Super Bowl year, he had 845 yards rushing. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 1 touchdown reception, 21 catches. Last year he was with the Chargers with Brandon Staley, and he had career lows. He had only 100 yards rushing. That was because Austin Eckler was the Chargers running back. But you look at
Austin Eckler is he's not a big guy, but he plays like he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's just he's proven to be where he's at and why he's the number one back.
But do you feel though that is it possible that Cam Akers may be on a pull string because last year it was reported that him and McVay met prior to the Carolina game, which I think that was a game you went to go see in person, right?
Yes, I was there.
So he didn't play that game. There was a report coming out by Fox Sports, and it was said during the broadcast that they agreed that he will not play for the Rams again. And there was talks about him going to Carolina to bring in Christian McCaffrey. But when McCaffrey went to San Francisco, for me, honestly, Ernie, I thought his career was going to be dead right there because I figured no one's not going to want him. He basically said, I agreed to depart from here, but after, when Baker Mayfield took over, there was a couple games that we saw the old Cam Akers from 2020. I'm looking here. He had 786 yards rushing. He had 7 touchdowns. So that was pretty much of a good bounce back after all this has happened. But now that they have Michelle, who do you think should be the running back come week 1?
Well, I think that with all professional athletes that play for a specific team, sometimes there's a rift, if you will, in the relationship, and sometimes you part ways amicably. But let's face it, you really never see a departure. It's like a marriage beginning divorce, but you don't really see it done where both sides are happy. It'll always come out what really happened. And then when Cam Akers started running again and doing what he can do, he is a special back, and he started looking good. I think that he should know, or I believe he would think that Sony Michel's there in case he gets hurt, not to fight for the number one position. Although it's always a fight, But him going into this season, I believe he's the number one back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I believe Cam Akers should deserve another chance based on everything that's happened to him. But again, Sony Michel has experience. He was the anchor man behind that Super Bowl run because everyone figured, when Cam Akers went out, and at the same time you lose Darnell Henderson too. So it was the guy that replaced Todd Gurley too. So at first I was like, no way, this ain't gonna work out. But then, next thing you know, Sony Michel decides to come back, which I was really shocked. To tell you the truth, I thought the Rams were going to bring in Austin Eckler because he wanted out, but then he decided to stay. But I mean,
well, I wish that trade between Akers and the running back announced for the 49ers.
McCaffrey,
there you go. I mean, I wish that would have went through. That would have just really kind of strengthened our offense in more ways than one. Obviously, he's a strong running back, a good running back. He can catch the ball. He can block. I mean, he's an all-around football player. But it didn't work out.
No, it didn't.
And I was a little dismayed at Henderson leaving as well because I think he did a good job. He didn't, he wasn't great, but he was good. I mean, you could depend on him, in certain situations, but that didn't work out either. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing the Rams play.
Yeah, me too.
Really am. I don't believe that they'll have a repeat season or even a worse season. I believe Sean McVay is a very, very good coach and knows how to win.
And he's respected too.
In certain positions and move things around. I mean, the Rams, they take some risks, and you got to be able to take some risk and believe in your people. And I think he'll put together a winning season this year. I really do, even with what we have and who we have.
Now, I predicted this team to go 9-8, or possibly maybe I'm looking at between maybe a 9, 10, maybe 11 win season, because this NFC West is pretty much open. The only team I see completed that can compete with the Rams is the Seahawks. Geno Smith is there. They had a great year. I think they could have won that division, but Frisco took over everything. And I got a lot of question marks with San Francisco now because, Trey Lance is coming off that ACL. Jimmy Garoppolo is gone. He's a Raider. Arizona's pretty much in a rebuilding year. There's issues with Kyler Murray. And then also you're looking at a trade for DeAndre Hopkins, which, by the way, he hasn't found a team yet. The last source was reported that he was going to visit the New England Patriots, which we don't know if he ever did. So that team's questionable. So I think this is like the one division that I'm going to have to say it's pretty much open. There's not really a dominant team here. 49ers, maybe, they're a question mark too. We don't know how.
Well, I think, Ed, the 49ers, with this young man, I believe his name is Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Mr. Reliable, that's what they call him.
Well, he had he not gotten hurt, that's unfortunately that's what happens. It happens in professional sports, especially football. I believe this kid showed some very, very, very strong-willed talent on his part. He threw the ball well. He didn't get rattled. He was able to check his receivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and look down the field as well. For a guy, his age, to be able to do that, and the step from college to the pros, and they say it's night and day. It's just so fast. Mm-hmm. Then you got guys like Aaron Donald, breathing down your neck, wanted to break it.
That's the one guy I'm trying to run. I would not want to run that guy into the alley. I'll tell you. Or if I was in the alley, I would probably bring him with me.
I think if Trey Lance, unfortunately, we don't know. He may light it up, but if he gets hurt again, they have this, Brock Purdy that hopefully, if he doesn't get traded or go for a bigger contract.
Well, Brock Purdy.
I believe that's why they let Garoppolo go, because they wanted to keep the two younger guys. But I still feel that Jimmy Garoppolo still has a lot of game left in him. I think he's going to do some good things.
This was the thing though. Like Trey Lance was supposed to be the franchise. That's why they drafted him. But when he got hurt, they brought in Garoppolo, and he was the insurance policy. But when he went down, that's when Brock Purdy came up and played like he played before. But my thing here is, what are you gonna do if both of these guys go down again? Because that's what happened in the NFC title game. They had a good run, but then he went down. There was nobody, and you can tell the inexperience of the quarterback position is very key here, because they could have won that game had he not got hurt, because they were moving the ball. I don't know if they could have won. It would have been close though, because I believe this ended up in a blowout. But your insurance policy is gone, so it's more of a, if you two can't do it, we'll find someone else that can, and that's the question mark.
San Francisco's management, Ed, has spun this around the wheel many, many times in the off season,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe they're going to be they're looking at someone. I guarantee you, right now, for that either third spot or even the second spot.
Vinny Testaverde.
Somebody with Vinny could come back, but even to be able to step in, and it's probably going to be a veteran player. And I don't think that Frisco is going to overlook that at all.
Now, Matt Ryan.
I think it'll be a veteran player.
Matt Ryan is not on the team. He's going to work for CBS this season. I mean, what are the chances you think they'll call him and say, hey, you want to be a third position guy? No guarantee you'll play, though, but you'll be like that emergency guy. I mean, you think he'll want to do that, or just be like, you know what, I'm just going to stay in TV, you know?
Sometimes it's, you're going to probably be a player coach, and mostly coach. And guys like Matt Ryan, who has all that experience and been in big games. Unfortunately, he's lost some big games, but
there's one game that I remember, and I think you know which one it is too.
With the Patriots.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if he doesn't try to make another attempt at it, if he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, because I believe he has Hall of Fame numbers, but if he gets into the Hall of Fame, that's what he's going to be remembered for, blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. I mean, I think he should at least, think about that, because, I mean, come on, do you want to go into the Hall of Fame remembering that you blew a 25-point lead?
That may hold him out of the Hall. But it's kind of like Dan Marino. I mean, his numbers were just tremendous. Never won the
big one.
The big one, and unfortunately, he's where he's at.
I mean, look, there's some big ones there that never won it. Like, he was one of them. Dan Marino was one that you mentioned. Warren Moon was another one that never won it, and he played till he was like old Stone Age, and then there's Testaverde, who never won one. I mean, and then there's Phillip Rivers. I mean, he played in the Chargers a long time, never made it. Yeah, I mean, so there's a bunch of good guys out there that actually has played the game well, but just never won the big one. I mean, and like I said, I remember Randall Cunningham too. He was another one that played really good, but just never won the big one. So I mean, I guess you don't need a big one to get into the Hall of Fame as long as you have the numbers. So I mean,
unfortunately, he didn't play for a team that could get him there, but
he had one chance.
The numbers that these guys had with teams that couldn't get you there, I mean, they had to be amazing. That's like Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah, he's another one too.
I mean, to me, if he would have played a few more years, even though he was playing on unfortunately a losing team, with Detroit, I think he probably would have been the best running back of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Detroit players, and man, like I said, Calvin Johnson is another one that I can remember that could have gone far if he kept playing, but he decided to call it quits, and he's in there now. He's got a gold jacket, and then.
I think that the Lions are really gonna, they made the playoffs, so I believe that good things are gonna happen.
They were actually, they were actually one game out of that playoff because. Yeah. The Seahawks beat the Rams in overtime, and had the Rams won that game, then the other game, which was the Detroit-Green Bay game, that could have been a winner get in. And I think Detroit would have got in if, they had a chance. Yeah. I mean, Jared Goff played well. His second year, he improved his I said this on a show a while back, his first year was a slump. But he got better in time, and it looks like we're seeing signs of the old Jared Goff, and he's got his receiver Josh Reynolds there too.
Absolutely, I think Jared has found his niche again. I believe that he's went through the for the lack of a better word, the divorce from the Rams.
You think McVay regrets that?
Say that again.
You think McVay regrets doing that trade? I mean, I know he got the ring, but don't you? Do you ever wonder if he regretted ever sending him out? You know, maybe keeping him on the
I
roster.
don't know if he regrets it. I don't think he'll ever admit that. Um, but you gotta have some kind of feeling. I know he liked him, and he was grooming him, and Jared did some tremendous things. I mean, he had a bad year, maybe even going on two, but he's always been good to me. Um, sometimes you go through your seasons and your slumps, if you will, but I believe he's finally gotten over LA, and now he's showing what he can really, really do. And I believe this season is just going to be just a great one for Jared Goff.
Yeah, I really predict that they will win the North now that Aaron Rodgers has left for New York. I don't think Minnesota can beat that. I mean, maybe one of the teams that they can compete with is Minnesota and Chicago. Green
Right.
Bay, there's going to be a lot of questions because Jordan Love. I mean, he can play, but he just
I think there's a new attitude, a new excitement uh, in Detroit. I mean, it ended on a positive, even though they lost, but it ended on a positive. You have to look at the whole season and the growth of the season, their coach, the whole thing. And I believe that Jared's going to be the one that puts it together because he's been there.
mhm.
It's not like, well, he tried. Yeah, he went to the Super Bowl and lost it, but still he went there. So he knows what it takes to get there. And I believe that Detroit fans are going to be yelling and screaming once again. Sure, I think they all will always love Matthew Stafford,
Mhm.
but there's a new sheriff in town, and I believe that I see good things from Mr. Goff.
I mean, I think Stafford will have a bounce back year.
Me too. Yes.
Yeah, I mean the O line the O line looks like it's gonna get revamped. I do know that they signed their rookie Steve Avila to a rookie contract. They actually brought in Akilo Witherspoon, cornerback from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's a very good player. Many believe that he's the one player that's going to replace the spot that Jalen Ramsey left.
Yeah.
And then they brought in a defensive back of Travius Tomlinson, and they also brought in a receiver from the Baltimore Ravens, Demarcus Robinson,
Right.
which is the receiver that will replace Allen Robinson.
Yeah. So I really don't. If these guys can stay healthy, and that's always been the question for every team every year. But if they can maintain their health, there's gonna be more wins in the win columns
Yeah.
this year for the Rams.
I think they need to get at least maybe one more receiver core because this is a young receiver core, and I know they have Van Jefferson there still, but you need to have some decoy receivers so number 10 can get out there because I've seen this last season where Cooper Kupp was pretty much into double coverage, triple coverage.
Yeah.
He's gotten away a couple times, but still, you want to have like that combination where you can use your other all stars as decoys and then throw the bomb to him.
What caught my eye is this Tutu Atwell kid.
Oh yeah,
He's fast, and of course, the first year was like, okay, what happened? And even though they had a bad season last year, there was a couple of good plays that he made because of his speed.
yeah.
I didn't know how good his hands were, but he seemed to show some good hands. And his speed is what we need. We need a back a receiver like that can just fly down the field, pull these safeties back, and pull the linebackers back as well, and then kind of dumping it off to Akers or Michelle. Just that 9-10 yard chunk.
Yeah,
And
and
then
he did.
once they come in, and then you just it blows by him, and now you hit him on the long route. But I'm kind of interested to see how this young man does.
Tutu did have a couple good games, like you said. He did have a game in New Orleans where he caught a 65-yard pass from Matthew Stafford, and that was the game that he went out with the injury, which I believe the Rams could have won if Stafford stayed healthy. But let's talk about the quarterback. Remember, Baker Mayfield came here.
Yeah.
I still remember that game where he won in his second day here. He actually credited the Rams for him loving football again because, as you
Yes,
know,
he did.
yeah, because as you like for the viewers as well, that are the listeners, remember he was supposed to be the franchise man in Cleveland.
Yep.
He led them to the playoffs in his second year. And then there was a controversy because of Deshaun Watson because he was available. And then the whole sexual assault accusation came out. He was suspended for half the season. Baker Mayfield said, you know what, screw this, I'm out, and then he went to Carolina and it went very bad. He was going to go to the 49ers because they had a quarterback situation, but then Sean McVay says, no, we're going to get him. He comes in, second day on the job, he wins you the game. He wins you the game on Christmas. But I mean,
can you imagine how exciting that must? I mean, it was exciting for me to just watch, but for him to be on that field in that stadium, which is just an awesome stadium to play in. It was just amazing that stadium, and then his second day out, and he wins the game. I mean, that would fire anybody up, I think. And the way it went down and how it went down, and I really looked for him to really pull out the rest of the season. I think he did. I think he did finish it fairly well.
Yeah,
and,
he did. He did win. He did win 2 games in his season here. There were some games where he played, but it just with the injuries, they just couldn't close it. He had a good game against the Seattle Seahawks, but he threw that costly interception that gave them the win. But he really got comfortable in that system, and I thought when he won, I was like this is going to be a quarterback competition heading into training camp with Stafford. Because this guy, yeah, he got the system under the belt. But I was very disappointed when they let him go because I figured if Stafford gets hurt again, at least you have this guy that knows your system. Now that you don't have him, it's like what do you need? But I mean, I'm okay with it now because they did they have a quarterback. Stetson Bennett, he's a Georgia guy. Stafford's college. And I figure he'll learn the system. He'll have it under his belt.
Yeah.
But
and and Mayfield, he's a competitor. He's always been since he was in college, and he ends up in Tampa Bay, and got he's competing for the position, but he'll a guy by the name of Brady fill those shoes. Let's face it. Tampa Bay, we got used to winning all the time, just like Brady did in New England. But I think Baker Mayfield has a few years left.
I think he's got a lot of few years left.
I think he is going to continue bringing a winning season to the Bucs.
He does have Mike Evans on Tampa, so that's probably a good thing. I believe Goodwin is still there, so he's playing with the receivers that Tom Brady had. Mike Evans is trying to break Jerry Rice's record. Because Jerry Rice has 11 straight years of 1,000-yard seasons. Mike Evans is about 4th place with 9 straight. You think he'll break that? You think with Mayfield, you think he can hit another 1,000 yards this year?
Yes. Baker still has a strong arm.
Oh, he does.
He does. I mean, if you really watched him and watched how he threw the ball with the Rams, even though unfortunately the interceptions are part of the game, but he can still bring it. and he's pretty accurate.
Well, a lot of the interceptions, I don't think he was at his fault. It was more of like either they were tip at the line, or it was just like a round route by the the one to Van Jefferson in Seattle. That was more of a miscalculated throw. I guess Jefferson was thinking he was going to go deep, but he underthrew it. So I mean, I can't really say it's all on him. I just think it was just more on the receivers. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this NFC South is going to be, especially with Derek Carr in in New Orleans now. So I mean, it's just going to be very. Welcome back to the show. I met my good buddy Jose, who is a dealer at a casino here in California. I had a chance to sit with him last week, and we talked about how things are at the casino as far as being a dealer goes. I also asked him a little bit about fantasy football. As you know, both of us are on fantasy football with another buddy of ours. I asked him questions about that, and we also talked about the Rams, and also as far as working on Super Bowl Sunday this past year. So here's our conversation at Lucille's and Cerritos, and before we go, I do want to warn you, there is a little bit of colorful language, so I do want to keep you informed of that. So take a look. All right, so I'm here at Lucille's and Cerritos, and even though it's our first season still, I haven't had a guest host on my show yet, which is really embarrassing after about 7 episodes, but finally, I have a guest host. My buddy Joe is right here. He works at the casino. Guys? Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
So tell me, man, we just saw that Dodgers, man. Like, what do you think, man?
Man, that was embarrassing, man. I wish, like that one, how do you call it, where he had the throw, the catch right there?
The catch.
We should have punched him right there. That'd be me.
And you know, it's funny too. Like, we were talking about the Angels right now. So, what was your first take when they won like by 25 or something? Like, what the hell?
I'm actually still surprised. Well, for a while, I'm not an Angels fan as one. But I'm just like, wow, 25. That's exactly, when I see things like that, that's exactly the reason why I stopped watching.
Well, let me ask you this, dude. Like, cause this has been on my mind for a while. What do you think of Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout? They call them the Smash Brothers. I mean, it's safe to say they did some smashing in this series, man. Especially yesterday.
I had to rewatch that one, man. I haven't seen that one again.
That's some college. That's some college thing right there, bro.
The college.
But let me ask you this: what is I was showing you some Ram highlights. Hey, man, what do you think Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. He's a good addition to the Rams. I mean, just like the throws and like the catches, all the touchdowns, that's amazing. Especially what was the one you said? Like, there was one that had like a lot of yards. How much yards was it?
I think he went like 71 yards.
71, that's
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's really good. That's exactly why I'm a Rams fan, exactly like that. He knows like the exact timing, when to throw it, and that.
Hey, but let me ask you, so fantasy football, what was like, you still mad about not winning that, or?
Dude, like, I can't be mad about that one exactly. Like, I wanted Travis Kelce, and I couldn't get him because of auto pick like that. So, I mean, I did the best what I could with my team. I saw every week progressing, like I did my research and everything like that, and it just didn't work out. But next time when I get my own picks, and like I did the season before that, I had my own picks and I won. So
I don't remember about doing. I know this past season I did well. I think it was my best record. I don't know if I played the year before. Honestly, I don't remember. Or maybe I did. I just don't remember. Like. But I remember I got gypped off the playoff spot because of a fucking tiebreaker. That pissed me off still, man. I think they should change the rules when it comes to tiebreakers.
You know, the first time when I first played fantasy, the host, like in football, the top 6 teams make it.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do it exactly like football. He did it that no matter what, everyone all qualified. We're 10 people. So I was like, I was unstoppable in the season. I was the head division of the West division. And someone she lost almost every single time this season. Then I played her. She was my first match because I was the number 1 seed. She was the number 10 seed.
Yeah.
Which she shouldn't have qualified at all. Only the top 6 seeds, like football. But she qualified, whatever. He didn't do it like football, real football. So I ended up playing the 10 seed, and she got just like unbelievable. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe she had Patrick Mahomes. I can't remember who it was exactly. Just like at a monster day that season, and all my players What can I think? I'm trying to remember who I had at that time. I think. Let's see. Who was it? It was a good running back, but I can't remember his name.
Was it from Tennessee?
No.
Or from the Raiders?
Oh, Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Bell,
Yes.
man. And that was the one time he freaking had an off day and freaking, man. I can't remember. Maybe it was Patrick Mahomes. I can't remember. He just had an insane day. He was like touchdown after touchdown. Just like, dude.
You know, the funny thing too is like I remember we had our matchup, but I think he only won because Allen Robinson sucked for me.
Oh, yeah.
You want to go there? You want to say that? People want to say that. But here's the thing though. They said that was a bust sign. I mean, he didn't fit that offense. I mean, I didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. You know,
I can't really like that one season. She shouldn't have even qualified for the playoffs, and then she's had a monster day that season. I got busted. I got eliminated off it. Just that's the only loss. And then you know what's funny? If I would have played the 6th seed, I would have still won, and I would have won all the way the first fantasy ever play. I would have won. But it just happens like that. Like
I remember they called me and hey, we want to give you Cooper Kupp for Patrick Mahomes, and you know the funny part was I was about to say
thank
yeah.
God, thank
yes.
God you didn't do that, man. Thank
yes,
God.
because Cooper Kupp got hurt in the mid-season way, and I would have been like really screwed if I got Cooper Kupp. But I remember Angie got mad at me because I took her man. She got pissed.
You cannot be pissed at somebody that first picks Tom Brady in a draft pick. First picks a quarterback. That's like suicide. It's asking to lose. And the funny thing, she got mad at me because I got Tom Brady this season.
Actually, you know what?
Okay for me, actually.
You know what? There's something I want to do on the show though. Like I want to play this game. So I want to ask you a question, and you know, there's no right or wrongs. I'll just give you the facts, but I want you to tell me what you think, and then we can talk about it. So here's the first one, okay? So I'm going to give you a couple teams: Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars, the Raiders.
I'm gonna be biased.
Okay.
I'm biased. You said the Raiders. I'm gonna be biased.
Okay, in the last 20 seasons, which one had the most losses? Like, who's lost the most out of those 4 teams?
Yeah.
Browns, Lions, Raiders, and Jags. If you don't know, just pick a team and I'll tell you. Browns, Lions.
I can cancel out 2 right away, but
What teams do you want to cancel out?
I cancel the Raiders.
Okay, so the Raiders have 211 losses in the 20 seasons. What's the other team you want to cancel out?
The other one, you said the Browns, the Jaguars,
And the Lions.
I want to cancel out the Jaguars.
Jaguars also had 211.
It's gotta be the Browns, right? That's what I was gonna say. That's my guess.
All right.
That's gonna be my guess.
So
Browns.
So Detroit has 216 in 20 seasons. The Browns 222.
Yes, I knew it.
The bartender got it right.
Defense was pretty solid. They're not shitty. It's kind of like I would have guessed the Browns too. That was like pretty cool.
You know what? We're having our conversation here on the show. We do want to let you know that the Rams training camp is coming back to Irvine this year. Tickets will be available soon. It'll be from July to August. Log into Rams.com to reserve your spot. So that was the funny part. You want to know who lost less so far?
I'm actually curious.
The Patriots.
Of course.
Guess how many losses they had in 20 years?
Definitely. Well, you say they had the lead. That has to be in the 100.
92.
Under 100? No.
They've only had 92 losses in 20 seasons.
What?
And that's with Tom Brady.
Freaking Brady, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why everyone wants to lose. They never.
Hey, so what do you?
So
There's word around saying that Tom Brady might be like partner ownership of the Raiders. You think there's a possibility that he might come back and play? I mean, for God's sake, wasn't enough for him already.
They always say they're retired. But
Well, he got.
to be honest, I wouldn't even be super shocked.
Well, he got his ass kicked in the playoffs. I mean,
They got
in that
his ass
show.
kicked, but you know, like when there's people like
You know, he hasn't really gotten his ass kicked too much in the playoffs. I mean, there's only been 3 times that he's got his ass kicked. It was
and I was proud of those.
the recent wild card loss to the Cowboys.
That was actually
He got his ass kicked.
Dude, I was actually shocked. I was like the
other
My aunt was jumping up and down. He's a Cowboy. He's a diehard Cowboy.
The other two were 2010 when they lost to the Jets to trash talking Rex Ryan and his Jets.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then the year before that to John Harbaugh and the Ravens in the wild card round 33-14. So there's been 3 occasions where he's gotten his ass kicked in the playoffs, and I mean, I was very shocked I don't know. I thought he would maybe win one game and then retire, but I was just like, oh man, I don't know. But it's hard to unravel your thought there on I mean, again, for God's sakes, man, when isn't enough and enough? But let's talk about something else, man. Let's talk about the AFC. Okay, so tell me if this is the best move. I'm gonna give you some teams, and you tell me it was a good move or not. Okay? You can have another sip, by the way.
Yeah, I only have one more sip, actually.
All right, so
too bad I can't anymore because I have to go to work. Sucks.
Yeah, you better hope your boss ain't watching and shit.
I don't know, dude. I've had like a bottle of red wine before, and I was totally chill before. And today's not like too busy, so it should be fine.
And I gotta tell you about a funny story too. So,
sure.
remember we went to go see the wild card game last year against the Bills and the Dolphins.
Yeah, dude.
I think like everybody was
up, dude.
Yeah, why was that? Why would they want to beat my ass up for?
I hope the Bills freaking lose, man.
I was rooting for the Dolphins.
Yeah, you're rooting for the Dolphins, dude. Anyway, the Dolphins, dude, that's a horrendous team, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not in Buffalo. Why would they want to beat my ass?
Dude, because everyone there was freaking, like, all freaking with the Buffalo. Even freaking Mikey. Freaking all loaded on the, even him. And he's supposedly...
Mikey, I don't know what team he is, man.
I have no idea. He
says he's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
And then now he says he's a Chargers fan.
Yeah, Eagles, Chargers, all the two. Yeah.
Like, what kind of shit is that?
He's a traitor, dude. Maybe he's a secret Cowboys fan. Everyone freaking hates Cowboys. Or Patriots. Maybe he's a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you something. So you worked at the casino, right? You were at the casino? Tell me what the hardest part of being a dealer is, dude.
Hardest part? Okay. A lot of people over there, they think they can win money.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I can win money too.
I mean, yeah, I would love it. I mean, I want you to. I hope everybody can win. But the realistic part is, no matter what game you play, unless you're playing blackjack with specific rules, or you're coming with like a lot of money, trying to win a little bit, and you have the control to actually leave, then you can win
leave
money.
When you want to, or leave when you need to.
Yeah, more like leave when you need to. But yeah, like many people there, the biggest problem is they don't have like self-responsibility. They always blame everybody, especially me, because I'm a dealer. So they always blame me. Oh man, you made me lose again, man. Like shit, like I didn't make you lose, dude. Like you placed the bet.
So what
I don't want you to lose. I want you to win a shitload of money, and then if you want to tip me, that's freaking awesome, dude. If not, I'm happy that I just have to not deal with any bullshit.
Have you had to like get tipped by the middle finger or what?
I mean,
they're like, hey, you're number one, homie.
Over there, there's a lot of like, especially when I deal blackjack, there's a lot of really cool people that are like, dude, I freaking hate your ass, but I'm still gonna tip you. I'm still gonna tip you like $10. So it's like, I appreciate it. I mean, there's some people. I'm not saying everyone's like pretty bad, like I said before, but there's some really cool people that they just want to fuck with you, give you a hard time, but they're still good. Like, and all action is what matters. If they tip you, they're still like they can talk shit, but as long as it's not like super disrespectful, but they still like tip you. And if that's their way of having fun or like drinking all the time, I don't mind. That's cool. I'm cool with that. I'm not too strict when I do actually.
Let me ask you this though. Yeah, did you work the Super Bowl there, or were you off?
It's so sad. I actually worked, because it's Sunday like that.
Was it like really busy or like?
It was actually busy, but a lot of people were talking about it.
Let me ask you, how many? I know the Chiefs won, but like, what was like the reaction with the Philly fans? Because I know there's a lot of Philly fans that actually picked them to win.
Man, I was there like drinking. Like they're like, oh, you know how I mentioned like some people should leave when they should stop. Like
they should stop when they have enough.
Well, you know what? That time it wasn't even about the money. It's just like they were so pissed off. They're like, shit, I lost again. Damn, freaking Eagles, same shit, man.
It's funny too. It's funny too that I remember I saw a video. This guy was at his friend's house watching the game and. The Chiefs kicked the winning field goal. Next thing you know, a fist comes flying and smashes the flat screen, and he's like beating the living hell out of it. And the funny thing too was like that wasn't his TV. That was the guy that was hosting the party's TV. So I mean, look, he's all crying, saying, "You know what? I got money on this. I got money on this." well, homie, you just gotta pay more money now because you gotta buy the cat another TV. You just wrecked it.
You know, there was a guy. He was already like, he was kind of waiting on the table. And
Yeah.
actually, he had the same reaction too. He wanted to break the TV, but he didn't even realize that. I'm like, bro, you know, that's the casino seat. That's not yours.
Yeah, you
He's
know
like,
you gotta
I don't
pay.
give a shit. He's like, I want to break it. And then the security came up and then tell him like, you gotta calm down, bro. You gotta kick the. And I'm like, holy shit! Like I can understand, but I feel it too. Like when your team freaking loses. I mean, but to the point where he's already winning money, man. He's already winning.
He should have just. I bet you he lost it at the end. Yo, just pay that for that TV already, bro.
Yeah, that's what he was thinking. He's just like,
You know,
I'm
the-
gonna break it anyway, and I'm just gonna.
You know what the funny thing too is, like, I still get like, you know, bullied about how the Rams scored 3 points in that Super Bowl loss. It was like,
Oh man!
I was like, the Patriots cheated.
I want to break the TV that one, man. I want.
Actually,
I
I was
want
actually-
to throw the card and freaking see like what I can do.
Actually, you know what? I was actually throwing stuff in my room that night because I watched it at home. I didn't want to go out. I wasn't feeling well. I was sick at the time, so
I should have
watched
called
it.
out.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have done that too. Man.
Oh man, I would have I would have been like, hey, let me come over, just let me get a toilet seat or something, you know. but yeah, I was throwing stuff, and I think I was cussing like crazy. And then the next day, my coworker was like, oh, you know, give me all your Rams. So I was like, man, fuck you, bro.
No, that guy is a troll, dude.
I would have trolled his ass if the Rams won that game, but I mean, they say it's payback because of that no call NFC title game. I'm like, we've seen those a lot. I mean, how many times have a game was lost because either the referee called it or they didn't call it? You know, like, come on, what the fuck?
Yeah, man. Ref. Shit. That's for this sport. A lot of sports too.
Yeah,
Always a ref. You got a good ref, bad ref, man.
Yeah, but hey, I do appreciate you coming on, man, and I'm gonna bring you on regularly. So I hope you got some more stories of the casino days.
Oh, for sure. Hopefully, no one breaks the TV.
You know, maybe I might go do that myself.
That's heartbreak, man.
No, it comes out of your commission.
That just hurts my pride and soul, dude.
Well, Joe, I know time's running low, so I do want to say appreciate you coming on, and we'll bring you back on later, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
I'd like to thank my guest for appearing on the show today. I want to thank you all for watching today, and again, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Instagram channel, Sports Talk with Ed, and also you can follow us on our iPod podcast. New episodes will be uploaded weekly. Again, my name is Edward, Sports Talk with Ed. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time, and may you have a happy 4th of July. Goodbye, everybody.